Hey, it's Dr. Jaban. So tonight I just wanted to come in and I wanted to talk a little bit about some telltale signs of parasites. The question has been asked. A lot of people are interested in parasites. I've done a lot of videos before on parasites, so look at those. But some of the big ones that I see all the time that can tell me, hey, you need to think about parasites is this. Do you have, and there's going to be a long list, digestive trouble? Do you have skin rash irritations? Do you have constant hunger? Do your symptoms flare up during the full moon? Do you have heart palpitations or heart chest pain? Do you have symptoms that are brain fog, anxiety, depression-like? Do you have muscle aches? These are all signs and symptoms of potential parasite. You can also have diarrhea, constipation, because parasites oftentimes cause a decrease in motility of your digestive tract. Also, do you have warts? These are all signs of parasites. So the list can go on and on and on. Do you have acid reflux? Grinding of your teeth? Irritability? Itching of the anus or right around the butt? So the fact that there are so many symptoms for parasites, and that's just the ones that are right off the top of my head. Those are things that I think about when people call me and they say, here's my list of symptoms. And oftentimes, if you list enough of those types of symptoms, just happened today, I had a client call in and her son had a list of these symptoms. And I said, man, those are just straight parasite-like. She said, well, I've had stool samples and those stool samples come back negative. And I said, stool samples are pretty much garbage to me. They just simply don't have the validity and the reproducible stats and reproducible reports that make sense. You've seen in research out there, if you do any, that stool samples can change up to 60% in a single day. So there really is no great way to test for parasites. And let's think, if you look at the number of parasites on there, there's a few, but there's hundreds of different types of parasites out there. And when I say hundreds, I literally mean hundreds. So what do they test for? They test for parasites likely to be in your area, likely to be in the United States for that matter. But our food comes from all around the world. So that doesn't even make sense, because if you're eating meat, which by the way, they took off labeling of where your meat comes from, then that meat can carry parasites in from Mexico, Brazil, or wherever else. And then your fruit, where does it come from? All around the world. What about some of the other foods that we're getting from China and other places? Are we testing for all the parasites that are possible in those regions? If the answer is no, then does your test even come close to testing for enough parasites? It's not thought that strongyloides, among many other parasites, are really even a thing in the United States, even though people do test positive to it every single year, but that is not on every type of stool sample. Not to mention, do you think a parasite would come out with every single stool you have? Or would they come out if you're not treating them? Because their job is to colonize you and stay inside and reproduce and create more of a host environment from you. So if you think you have parasites, listen to the symptoms I gave earlier. Those are some great steps or great identifiers if you have a parasite. And if you start to think about, okay, these are the symptoms I have. In some people, they've already treated for bacteria. They've already treated for viruses and heavy metals and all these other things. And it just keeps on going and going and going. And they're not getting well. Look at parasites as a great possibility. 70% of the people that I work with, that's the first thing that I do. Because parasites are such a detriment to your body, and they are multicellular organisms that they actually can break you down and house some of these other organisms so that you can't get rid of things like Lyme and mycoplasma because they're living inside of the parasite. So you've done vancomycin, you've done doxy, you've done all these other treatments, and you never get well because you kill off something, you feel better for a little while, for 2, 3, 4, 6 months. That's the norm. And then all of a sudden, the symptoms start coming back, and you're like, what the heck? I took years of antibiotics. I took all these other things. I've done everything right, but I can't stay well. Did you ever treat parasites? And if you have treated parasites, how did you do it? Because I have found that, yes, prescription medications do a decent job. But if you combine them with the herbal therapies, they're so much more powerful. And herbal therapies typically can get it done on their own, but there are cases where you need those pharmaceuticals. But once you've gone after the parasites and you've eliminated them, and then you start going for the bacteria, the viruses, the mycoplasma, the mold, the heavy metals, and everything else, then you start making so much more headway, because not only is it true that you have to heal the gut to get to those other things, you have to heal the gut by getting rid of the parasites so that you can get after those other things. So if you have a leaky gut or any bowel symptom, likely you need to take care of parasites, because you will not heal a leaky gut until you've gotten rid of parasites, fungus, and bacteria. So that's my 2 cents. Thanks for everybody watching. I hope you guys liked this. If you know somebody that is dealing with symptoms that I mentioned, invite them to watch this video. Invite them into our group so they can continue to learn how to heal themselves, because that's what all of this is about, is to give information completely free, to educate so that everyone can get a chance to be well, because we all deserve the chance. Now, you just have to take the steps to get there.